before we get into the Yankees part of this, so Shohei Ohtani, this is still looking like a perfect World Series, right? Let's just kind of recap where we're at.
Game one was so good.
You and I were so excited for this. We built it up. We went, oh my God, look at these matchups. I called you to do my legacy stakes. I did my legacy stakes on Friday. I did my top 5 guys. I chatted it out with you, and we kind of agreed. There were a couple of names that you threw in there. One of the guys I left off the list that you brought up as a potential honorable mention ends up being the hero of Game 1. It gives all of us a genuine where were you moment in sports, which is when Freddie Freeman walked off the New York Yankees with the bases loaded in the grand slam. That's just about as good as sports gets. Runs over to his father and talks about how it's his moment. It was everything you want, right? Mm-hmm. Stakes, a player who's been injured throughout the postseason, a guy who they walk at somebody in front of him because they say, not you, you won't do it. And he does the damn thing. And it's a game full of just these incredible moments, right? I actually almost wanted to go over this with you. Just what do you think you'll forget from that game? But, or what do you think most people will forget from that game? But it's just, we get off to the perfect start to this World Series, and it feels weighty all of a sudden. Like maybe the Yankees just blew this thing. They had an opportunity to steal a game, and they had Garrett Cole on the mound, and did they take him out too early? All of this, just phenomenal theater. Game 2, it's, I think, another really good game. Not the classic the other one was. Hard to replicate that.
The rally in the 9th inning was...
Yeah, but Shohei Ohtani, yes, exactly, gets very close. You feel like the tables are going to turn a little bit on this. Anyway, Shohei Ohtani slides into second base. He goes down awkwardly on his shoulder. He hurts it. They're saying it's a partial dislocation. Dave Roberts has said that...
Subluxation.
Yeah, I don't need to go over the actual...
Oh, because I actually have some info on this. I have a cousin who played professional baseball and has dealt with this injury and gave me an update on this. I should read you exactly what his DM said.
Good. This is Twitter. This is just a different version of a Twitter doctor, but go on.
No, but it's not a Twitter doctor. It's somebody who's played professional baseball, had to swing a bat with a shoulder subluxation.
He played professional baseball?
Yes, he played in the single A Rays team. He played for the Padres, and then he also played for the Marlins.
Nice.
Sublux isn't awful. I played within 10 days without an MLB training staff. I'd imagine the medical team they have in a brace, he'll be good. I swung like 2 or 3 days later in the cage, but that was also indie ball, not the World Series.
Yeah. Okay. So Dave Roberts is basically saying that he's good to go, that he's going to be fine, that he's been getting better day by day. Here's the question for you. If he doesn't perform well the rest of the way, what does this do when it comes to the Shohei legacy talk? Like if the Dodgers win the World Series, but it's with Shohei Ohtani having no shoulder and no real moments in this thing, or...
He's already had a moment, though. Having the double that tied the game eventually in Game 1 on Friday and taking the extra base on
I was going to say, that one's kind of a tricky moment for me because he takes the extra base because Gleyber Torres has an all-time screw-up.
But he hits a double. I mean, off the middle of the wall.
For sure. But if Gleyber doesn't make that mistake, they get out of that inning unscathed.
I mean, different space-time continuum.
No, don't do that. You do the continuum that was in front of us, and the continuum that was in front of us was...
fly ball. And
they got out of it.
I guess. I don't know.
Whatever.
Hit the
You
double
think that's
that tied
enough
the
of
game.
a moment? You think that? So you're gonna tell me that's
okay? So you're telling me if the Dodgers?
I'm just asking the question that should be asked, which is, what are we going to be saying about Shohei Ohtani, who we felt like, man, this is the World Series of Shohei Ohtani versus the Yankees. We didn't even say the Dodgers for the most part. If you look at all of the branding that these guys had, all of the markeing clippets and pamphlets and whatever pamphlets they sent about door to door, they're like a politician. They put them
airplanes.
They put them in your mailbox and just pictures of Shohei Ohtani. But
have you thought about giving your life to Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, and I did. I handed it completely over to him because, I'm just dreading every time there's other sports against the World Series that I have to watch. Yeah. But so Shohei, if he's not able to perform and the Dodgers win, or if they lose and he doesn't do anything, like what is his responsibility? What is the discussion around him? Let's try to predict this.
Okay, if they win and he's not a factor the rest of the way, it doesn't matter. Like, you can be like, okay, it's amazing that he continued to play with the shoulder thing. And to me, he had one of the key moments on Friday that allowed them to win Game 1. They just And I know he made the second out.
I'm genuinely going to remember the
10th
strike
inning.
zone from the first game more than I'm going to remember that Shohei double. I'm going to remember it as Gleyber Torres error. But yeah, go on.
Wasn't that the first ever Venezuelan home plate umpire in World Series history as well? He was like an incredible moment for him. It's like, what happened
that's
here?
interesting. So you're saying he choked. He choked under the pressure because that is. I actually I didn't check the umpire scorecard thing, but I find it impossible to believe that was the. And some strike zones are worse, right? Like you can have a guy who's missing calls because he stays consistent with one side.
That's fine.
This guy was genuinely going to different sides of the plate, switching up what were balls and strikes. Anyways, go back to the Shohei thing.
Yeah, I think he's already had a moment, and especially if the Dodgers win.
So greatest player of his generation, maybe greatest player I've ever hit, one double in a World Series, and it's good.
Okay, but also has had a great postseason.
I see why your son lost that hockey game.
Oh, my God. He cried, though.
Yeah, because he's like, I wish my dad knew about sports.
He dislocates his shoulder. And while I just told you about my example of somebody who dislocated his shoulder, had the same subluxation, and he said it was on the lead shoulder, not like Shohei Ohtani, which is like the back shoulder. But yeah, there will be a mitigating circumstance here. But yeah, if they lose, if he's playing, if you're in the lineup, you're allowed to be criticized. Like if it's so bad that it is impacting your performance to the degree that you're not a positive, then you got to remove yourself from the lineup. If you're in the lineup and you're playing, we're under the assumption that maybe you're not at 100%, but you're good enough to expect the result from. So yeah, I think those are two different scenarios that you painted, because if they win, and it's hard for me to imagine that he's not a part of the winning going forward, because I still think this is going to be a close series. And I think the Yankees, this is where their advantage in the series might play off or play out, because they have more than two starters, and Clark Schmidt is actually good. But yeah, if they win, it will be Shohei Ohtani did the damn thing. He had a home run in his second ever postseason at bat. He was great, and then he hurt his shoulder. Wasn't as great. What's interesting though is how will that impact his ability on the bases? Right, the shoulder thing. It's not even the swinging. Like how willing will he be to steal a base after stealing 58 during the regular season, if he knows that's how he messed up his shoulder to begin with?
So for me, I'm also looking at it the other way, which is if he performs well, if he does even a 80% Shohei impression through these remaining games, it's legend. It only catapults the legend of Shohei Ohtani. You go, because you can already hear the announcers, there's a man who separated his shoulder just a day ago, 2 days ago.
They have two Kirk Gibsons now. They already had Freddie Freeman playing Kirk Gibson in game one. Now they got another Kirk Gibson.
Did you see Mad Dog's rant on that?
No.
It was great. I love the protector of the history of the game. Well, but he just went through it and
Kirk Gibson was way more injured.
Yeah, whatever. And the scenario,
it's like he couldn't play. He was a pinch hitter.
Yes, and the situation.
Because they're like, oh my God.
But he just relax with the Kirk Gibson. This is fire. This is such a. I loved it. I loved it because I know that if I'm doing this somehow, some way, 30 years from now, 20 years from now, I'm going to be doing the same type of screaming, defending my memories and the things that mattered the most. Anyways, I think he's going to play through it well. I don't want to see the situation where he's an offer at the dish and he feels like non-threatening, and we're going into a game 5 with the question of should Shohei Ohtani play because he hasn't gotten a hit. And he's just, he's not aggressive at the plate, because that's the one thing about Shohei too is he'll take some hacks, brother. He takes some hacks. And if he's not trying to do damage in this thing and he looks compromised, I think that he'll my guess is that he'll basically get a pass because he was so phenomenal in the regular season and he's been so great for the sport throughout this postseason. He's had all the runners in scoring position stuff that because he had that lead up, he's going to basically get the full pass here. I do think, though, that if he wins the World Series and he doesn't do much else and it ends up being his only one, people are going to point to, well, that was kind of the Freddie Freeman World Series. That was kind of the insert, and don't you remember Shohei? But he was hurt, and it doesn't become as much of a coronation is all I'm saying. It becomes more of a, hey, he won. He's the best player. No one's really taking shots at him. No one's saying he was getting carried. But we do have a potential caveat situation here. Is that fair?
I mean, you're basically outlining what you're going to say if that happens. I mean, you're like, the narrative as a whole. I
just think that without him, if he wins World Series MVP, This is why I put him 2 in the legacy ranking. He wins World Series MVP with a hurt shoulder, and everyone's talking about him as genuinely the greatest player of all time, and they're doing full segments. Man, you and I talk about this all the time. It's not really a national sport. You don't really see too many discussions about baseball where you say, hey, can we debate this? War kind of ruins it. All the analytics have kind of taken away some of the joy of debating baseball players. But if he's able to do this thing and he's incredible, he steps into this category of, are we watching the greatest baseball player of all time? And without those numbers and without the question and with the question of the injury, I don't think that gets done as much coming out of this World Series. Like, I think
what you just outlined is, and I'll say it, you don't have to say it. It's almost a good thing that this happened to Shohei. That it's an injury that, again, from my reporting and the real reporting, that you can actually play through and should allow you to not even be a diminished version of yourself, but allows us to have this conversation about another incredible factor that he overcame. And it also maybe gives a little more hope to the Yankees, who are down 2-0 in this series. Just when you thought the narratives couldn't get any better, here's Shohei Ohtani, the greatest player that ever lived, who had one of the greatest regular seasons of all time and was doing the damn thing in the postseason, subluxates his shoulder and is going to play through the pain. It actually is the greatest confluence of events that we could have possibly asked for in this World Series. And you're right, it opens up the potential for different narratives out of this thing. I'm just telling you from my believies is that he was so good during the regular season. He has not choked during the postseason.
Yeah, his average with runners in scoring position is 500.
Yeah, you know what Aaron Judge's is?
We're getting to that.
It's over 10. Anyways, yeah, then he had the moment on Friday already in Game 1 that, to me, his legacy isn't cemented, especially if they lose the series. But if they win it, it's not like he was a passenger or anything.
Again, I'm not trying to make this like, is he a bum? This isn't a first take segment. This is not, is he a choker?
He's definitely more of a legend if he keeps doing the thing.
Yes, obviously there's more upside when you're injured and can play through an injury because it does make it more memorable. You go from thinking the guy might not play in the World Series to potentially being the World Series MVP is stuff that you genuinely never forget throughout the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I'm saying I do think that there is going to be, it's not, hey, what a loser. Hey, his team carried him. Hey, it's not going to be to that degree. But I think the ceiling of greatest player of all time with one of the greatest World Series runs, one of the greatest decisions, that gets altered just a touch if he does look like a shell of himself for the rest of the series. And especially if, they win. To me, weirdly, if they win and he's terrible, then you do the, hey, what's happening here? If they lose and he's terrible, you go, man, they would have won because of Shohei. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the Shohei being hurt thing, that's what cost the Dodgers the World Series. If they win and they do it without him, you're like, man, he's on such a stacked team.
Yeah.
How much would he have mattered? You get to do that game. That's all I'm saying. It's going to pop.
Especially when they add Juan Soto in the offseason. But yeah, no.
Dude, I saw that report. I will tell you, if that happens, I think I'm actually done with baseball.
Oh, my God.
I don't think that I'll watch ever again. I think I might just go in the summers. I take them all off because I don't pay attention to the Blue Jays. That would be the worst thing for the sport if he did that. Like, I can't think of a more, that in my opinion would be worse than Kevin Durant.
I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah,
I actually think it's better for the sport if the Dodgers get even more stacked. And it is the one measuring stick we have in the sport. And we know, though, that they can be beaten.
Cool.
They might still be beaten.
Right on. Good for you. You'll be the only guy watching. Enjoy being the only man. I can't wait for you to pitch your baseball segments on your show.
God.
Hey, can we talk about baseball that everyone's completely sour on and no one wants to watch?
I mean, but wasn't that the narrative going into this year? They did. What are you talking about? They spent almost $400 million on Yamamoto after spending $700 million on Shohei Ohtani, and then they got Tyler Glass now. Like they were unstoppable killing machine, and
Has anyone ever had a more appropriate name than Glass?
He's like, I'm Glass now and tomorrow.
Yeah. I was then too, actually. I was Glass then, I was Glass now, and I'll be Glass in the future.
Yeah, that was already happening, but it's not the NBA, right?
No, taking the other team's best player that you beat and putting him on your roster is a different thing. But
he's taking the money, whoever gives him the most money, and I think the Yankees will ultimately give him the most money.
Yeah.
I would love to see a scenario where the Mets and the Yankees go at it. It's just never happened in the history of baseball, and maybe Steve Cohen's the guy that's going to do it for the first time. But
going to the team that beats you is the worst thing, and I don't care what sport it is, and I don't care how good it is.
What if
the Warriors were not good for the NBA? They weren't. It made you feel like the season was over before it began. And if the Dodgers won the World Series and then they took Shohei Ohtani from the Yankees, it would not be good for the sport, brother. I'm telling you.
What if the Yankees won the World Series and then the Dodgers went after Juan Soto?
And he becomes like Marian Hossa?
Yeah, and he's done it twice. He has 2 rings. Yeah. What if he's the world? At this point, he would be the World Series MVP.
No, there's no scenario where I want to see Juan Soto on the Dodgers. There's literally this is how crazy it is that I hate the Yankees. He's in the same division as the Blue Jays, and I'm saying I would infinitely want Juan Soto on the Yankees more than the Dodgers.
I mean, in your heart of hearts, don't you want to see if this plays out the way it might be? And it might be just a blowout now, and it might be a sweep of the Dodgers. I still think the Yankees are in this thing.
Of course. What do you mean? What do you mean the Yankees are still in this thing? They were in the bottom of the 9th inning and took a grand slam, and then they almost came back and won the next game.
Yes. But isn't it part of the reason you want Juan Soto to be a Yankees because you want to see this again? Like, you want to see over the next half decade these two teams meet a bunch of times in the World Series.
No, not necessarily, but I do want to feel stakes. I want to feel like the teams at the top matter. And you're looking at the World Series numbers, and you said to me that it's only the dorks like us that care about this stuff, but have you seen the World Series numbers? Dude, they're up 62% from last year, 15.2 million viewers on the first game.
Rangers, Diamondbacks?
Yes, it was a good confluence of events for it to happen, but I love it when people are doing it. I love that I went to a bar on Friday night to watch the game, and there was the Raptors across from it, and I felt, oh no, are they going to put the Raptors sound on?
Not.
And they went, of course not. It's on one of the side TVs. If you want to watch it, it's still there for you. But
I was with all the hockey dads.
That was a good Raptors win.
I was with all the hockey dads in Barrie, and, you know, they weren't interested in watching the hockey
That's
Friday.
That's it.
They were like, well, let's get in front of our TV game one.
And that's where stakes come into plays because people care and they're invested in the outcome, and it feels like there's something to really be gained or something to be really lost. And frankly, just winning the Commissioner's Trophy, it's felt like a chunk of metal when the Rangers win. So is that what Rob Manfred called it?
Yeah.
Hunk of metal? Piece of metal? Yeah, piece of metal? I can't remember.
No, there's real stakes.
Anyways, all right. So speaking of the stakes, let's pivot to the Judge conversation now. Okay, so Aaron Judge, his last 9 at-bats, he has 6 Ks. In the regular season, he's got an OPS over 1,000, but his last 3 years as a Yankee, his numbers are genuinely absurd. It's, hey, this is the best player in baseball numbers, right? He has been, 62 home runs, then 37, then 58 this season. So far in the playoffs as a whole, if you want to play like the sample size, he's like a 700 OPS guy, which is nothing even close to the 1,000 that he's been. And this is kind of especially worse when you consider, maybe it doesn't count as much to other people, but that he's actually been better in the wild card, that the wild card numbers for him have
I didn't even think about parsing it that way, but you're right.
I am parsing it that way. Oh,
funny.
I'm absolutely parsing it that way. Did you see him?
No, I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
I know, because I just looked at the whole, and he's 740 OPS, which is for him is horrible.
Horrible.
But in the wild card, he's actually kind of killing it.
No, the wild card, he's sort of closer to himself.
Yeah,
but
1,200 OPS.
Yeah, but everything else is where it drops off.
And now the World Series, the worst, right?
Yeah,
it's the smallest sample. It's only 2 games.
But through the World Series, he's, like I said, he's got 9 at-bats, and he's got 6 strikeouts.
Bad.
He's got 1 hit, and he at times, and by at times I mean every at-bat other than the one where he got a hit, has looked overwhelmed because, again, he's struck out 6 out of the 9 times that he's gotten to the dish. He feels not threatening. He actually feels like a let-up spot in between Soto and Giancarlo Stanton. And
you mean the 2 guys that got hits off Blake Treinen in the 9th inning in Game 2, and then sandwiched in the middle there was Aaron Judge's strikeout?
Surely no Yankee fan thought of what it would have been like had he come up with a hit there, followed by the rest of the inning the way that it played out. Surely no one thought that. Anyway, I feel like tonight is as big of a legacy game as I can remember for any player in a very, very long time. It's since like genuinely the only guy I could think of in recent memory that felt like, holy, this is this weighty. One was just Connor McDavid in Game 7 going, okay, what if he does this? But it was more of just the plus side, right?
Yeah.
But it was LeBron going back to 2016 where he still hadn't won, going back to his first title in Miami where he was coming off of the loss in 2013 to the Mavericks who were put together with Scotch tape and bubblegum around Dirk Nowitzki. It was, JJ Barea and old Jason Kidd and Jason Terry. It was just, it was bad. It was not a great team that whooped LeBron, and LeBron was passive in that World Series, or in the NBA championship. If you remember it, which I do because it's one of my most vivid memories ever, LeBron was not aggressive in that championship.
No.
He was dishing it. There were moments late in the clock where he was just going, okay, D-Wade, you figure this thing out. And we came out of it, and it was LeBron's got to get a post game, and is LeBron clutch, and is he a choker, and is he a true champion? And they made all these predictions, and it was a tough media cycle for him. Aaron Judge, this sport is far more difficult for the best player to get back. Like, we knew LeBron was going to get other opportunities, certainly on that Miami team.
Yeah.
Boy, they just ended, what, a 15-year drought? 12?
Yeah, they were 2009 was the last time they were in the World Series.
Yeah, so these guys finally in this drought, Aaron Judge goes out there tonight and has another 3 strikeouts. Oof. Has there been one that you can remember in baseball that felt this significant? Because for me, I can't.
Well, okay, so you're right. But yeah, Barry Bonds went through this a little bit in his postseason, right? It was not to this degree. And Alex Rodriguez was hitting 8th, right? Like, that was one of the greatest players of all time. It was so bad that they had to relieve the pressure from him and hitting him 8th. Barry Bonds eventually did get it done because he's Barry freaking Bonds. Yeah, this is, it's along those same lines for Aaron Judge. And for a sport in which you're right, it's harder and harder to have real emotional conversations about it because there's a number for everything. And
but the A-Rod stuff happened after he won a World Series.
No, that was before.
Because his numbers when he was 33 years old and they won the World Series, 973 OPS. And leading up to that, 1,500 OPS.
Yeah, he was going. He was hitting 8th in the Yankees postseason lineup before they won the World Series.
Okay, because I was going to say that the numbers are pretty damn good.
Yeah,
1,200 OPS with the Yankees in the ALDS, 895. It looks like he had the series against Detroit was what you'd be talking about then in 06 because he OPS 205.
Yeah, so that hasn't happened to Aaron Judge.
1 hit.
But we have seen factually, pitchers now pitch around, if not intentionally walk.
What do you mean?
Juan Soto.
We have seen that
in front of Aaron Judge, and who wouldn't at the moment? Yeah, the sample is still small, I guess, when you're talking about 50 games in the postseason, but you can't ignore that.
Hey,
that's a real thing.
I love the sample size thing. The sample's small. You know what else is small? The amount of games that there are to win.
Juan Soto's made it work.
Yeah,
he's figured it out.
Yeah. Other guys have figured out a way to impact the games and make the sample size work for them. I think this is the lamest cop-out of all time is to do the sample size thing.
I think it is a bit of a straw man because I don't think anybody's saying that. I think they're saying that
I think a lot of baseball people do it, like the hoity-toities of the baseball world.
Crazy town.
Yeah.
Because this is literally the American League MVP. He's going to win his second MVP award. He's one of the most feared hitters in baseball. Juan Soto had like an unreal year, and it was like, obviously Aaron Judge is better. Like, he had the better season. Just a monster of a human being. And it's not just the lack of production and the 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. To your point, it's just how he looks in these at-bats. Juan Soto controls the at-bat. Like, he sees every pitch, knows what he's going to do with it, knows where the strike zone begins and ends.
There's an aura to him and to Giancarlo Stanton right now that is clearly missing with Aaron Judge.
Dude, it's like a confidence thing. Yeah. It's like those guys know. It's like, you're terrified of me. Aaron Judge's like, I'm terrified of you. And I'm afraid that I'm going to fail in this moment. I'm sorry.
Some of the pitches he's swinging over the top of, these are like breaking balls in the dirt. He looks like vintage Justin Smoke.
And if your take is, well, that happens to every hitter and it's so difficult to hit a baseball, watch Aaron Judge during the regular season. And you don't get to face the 5th starters in the World Series. So what? Neither does Juan Soto.
No, if you say that's actually, then you're bending the knee to he's a loser. Then he pumps up his numbers.
And he hit a home run against Emmanuel Clase in the middle of like the complete meltdown.
No, but I was going to say that that counts big time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing saving him right now from full Yankee ire
in a game that they lost.
Yeah, but also because Clase was so bad following it, I actually think it's the same thing that I'm talking about if it's the Dodgers win the World Series but Shohei stinks is you go,
doesn't count.
You won, but it counts a little less.
Yeah.
It just counts the ring.
Well, it's like eventually you're going to hit a home run, right?
Yeah,
like,
you got one.
No, it's how he looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously they're not going to boo him or anything, but can you imagine the grumbles?
I think they'll boo him.
That's crazy talk. When you get to the postseason.
Brother, if they lose this game and he comes out in game 4 and he's at home and his first at-bat is a strikeout, I'll bet you right now there's boos.
I'll
take
would
that
be a
bet.
tough one.
No, I'll take that bet right now. Those Yankees fans are 100% going to boo.
If Phillies fans can cheer, some of their struggling players. Honestly, when they're going through
those Yankees fans didn't boo him, they're losers. They are. They're the ultimate frauds. That it's just like everything we say about you, about how you put the gold chain and open up the jerseys for the postseason once you're good, and that you're just all bandwagon fans now, and that this generation has seen no real true great Yankees. Aaron Judge has got to get booed. You got to boo Aaron Judge.
The bar has to be higher than hitting one home run against.
You could boo Yankees playoff legend Giancarlo Stanton, but you can't boo Judge.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like it's not just Juan Soto. It's like okay, Juan Soto was great as a 20-year-old. Like he was born amazing and is untouchable. It's like Giancarlo Stanton has been the subject of so much ire surrounding that Yankee fan base because he's been abysmal.
Him and Aaron Boone, the two most hated Yankees
guys.
No.
It was like unfair that they traded for him because he was so good, but he's been a pretty horrible Yankee and hurt the almost majority of his entire career as a New York Yankee. But he has salvaged it in the postseason, being one of the best Yankee hitters in the postseason, hit 5 home runs in the CS and was CS MVP. To be surrounded, like literally on the other sides of where you hit in the order by two guys that have made themselves even more beloved by the way they performed in the postseason. There is a ton on the line for Aaron Judge. And just like Emmanuel Clase, can go out and even have a better year next year and be the best. He could have the Eric Gagne season, like the greatest relief season in the history of baseball. It won't matter because we'll view him in this way. I mean, Aaron Judge could hit 73 home runs. You can tie Barry Bonds. Doesn't matter. None of it matters if he can't come through in this World Series.
He is. So I was looking at some lists, like the ranker lists and fan vote lists, and I looked at the New York. One of the New York publications did a big. They got all the baseball writers together to rank the top 10 Yankees of all time. Aaron Judge is top 10 on like all of those lists.
Yeah, performance, he's been unreal.
For sure. But he has not, up to this point, been punished for any of the losses. And, Brian Cashman, I was making fun of him the other day because he went on MLB Network and was like, boo-hoo, we didn't really have a drought because the Astros cheated. And I went, wait, so we're just doing that game of anybody could have won, so then you don't get a drought, but nobody else in baseball gets one? Or is it only the teams that played the Astros?
Yeah.
Like, how does this work exactly? Your space-time continuum machine that doesn't allow for history to reflect properly on you losing playoff game. Anyway, whatever. I think that Judge has sort of gotten that pass throughout the era of, hey, he hasn't won because it's modern and it's not the great Yankees and that some of the other pieces around him have been blamed, right? It has been Cashman, it has been Stanton, it has been every single other guy around the Yankees other than Judge. And all of a sudden, you look at this, and the team has Jazz Chisholm been awesome, right?
Yeah,
Volpe is coming up with big moments. The bullpen has been great. Garrett Cole just went out and shoved, right? You feel good when guys like Tim Hill are on the mound. Soto has been unbelievable. Stanton has been unbelievable. The missing piece is one guy.
Yeah.
Like we can quibble with the Boone decision in game 1, which you should, and I'm going to get to next.
Yeah.
But Aaron Judge, if you lose, this is going to be completely a different category of choke, given that all of your guys around you that mattered were really good. It isn't even you. There's no one that you can look next to you and say, hey, at least both of us sucked. It's like, no, man, just you sucked.
Yeah, you're on Suck Island.
What, you and Nestor Cortez?
Yeah.
At least he got an out.
He's not even supposed to be here. Against Shohei Ohtani.
That's what I mean. Nestor Cortez has many outs recorded as you have hits, so...
With runners in scoring position, yeah. No, he's... I mean, if you're okay, so I did the who's the scariest hitter to face in this World Series ranking going into it, and he was, I don't know, 4th or 5th. But if you just went on who is the best hitter, like who has the best resume going into this thing, it's Shohei 1, Aaron Judge 2. Like Aaron Judge is literally the American League MVP.
Shohei ahead of Judge? I wouldn't have even had it that way. I would have Judge 1.
Okay, yeah, Judge 1, sure. You can have your pick. I mean, it depends on how you view the, stolen base stuff, right?
Yeah, I view it as if you're doing most dangerous hitters, then I'm saying the dangerous hitter is the guy that hits 62 home runs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can. That's a perfectly fine opinion to have, but it's, either one or two.
You're right. It's the perfectly fine opinion. It's the correct opinion, but anyway.
Sure. Yeah. Anyways, he's the, so to your point, he's the best hitter in this World Series.
Yeah.
And then to put him, like, where would you put him in the scariest hitters to face rankings? Like, he's not top
right
5
now,
anymore.
In this series?
Yeah.
I can go through it with you quickly.
I don't know what you do with Ohtani with the shoulder thing.
I don't care. He's still ahead of Judge right now. I'd rather, if you were telling me my life's on the line, I get Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani starting and see with that shoulder. I would still take Shohei.
But I just wonder if he's 1, because he was 1 for me going in, and it was Soto 2, and I think Soto's now 1, because even in like the game 2.
Soto is 1.
Yeah, Soto's 1 for me.
You know what's weird? I actually think that 1 and 2 for me are Yankees.
Because you have Stanton too?
Yeah. I think if my life was on the line and there was a runner on second base right now.
I don't know. Freeman, the way he looks
now,
of
course.
Too. I
think
I have Freeman too. Right now. Like, it's in the moment stuff, but Freddie Freeman is this guy. He's also a former MVP and also like has won a World Series and performed in the postseason. It's like not a surprise. And now he looks fully healthy with the power. I'd have Freeman too.
The thing is what feels really difficult is when I get to like Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah. What do you do with that? Hit another home run and game
I know
2.
the production says, but I would still take Judge.
Yeah. Over Teo. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I think I wouldn't. I think I'd take Teo over Judge right now.
Yeah. And but that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad at it. I just, I just know that if Teo struck out at my at bat, I'd never forget. I'd be in the shower drinking rum. Just straight from the bottle.
No, but that you can even have that conversation and not be laughed out of the room for.
But that's the guy. That's the guy on the list that you can't go lower than.
Yeah.
But would you put Gleyber Torres?
I was gonna say, like,
Gleyber has been hot.
If I was in my heart of hearts, right? Like, if I'm just being
Gleyber is scarier right now.
If you need a home run, obviously different. Aaron Judge is higher than Gleyber.
But you see a hit.
Yeah, it's Gleyber Torres.
It's Gleyber Torres. Yeah,
who had a horrible regular season in a pretty
Gleyber,
big moment.
But I have Gleyber ahead of Teo.
Yeah, okay. I don't hate that either.
Yeah,
but Gleyber Torres had a horrible year. He was like one of the main culprits or one of the main subjects of ire for Yankees fans. They're like, thank goodness this guy's a free agent. Get him out of here.
He's a bust.
It's like his big home run year.
This is what I'm saying. Everybody's doing it. Even Chisholm turned it around in just big moments.
Big stolen base.
There's nobody. Like, who are you going to compare yourself with? Austin Wells?
Yeah.
That's who you get.
He's like, I'm not even, I was hitting cleanup for this team.
Exactly.
I wasn't supposed to be here.
Austin Wells hitting cleanup for the New York Yankees and then watching him literally not be able. The fact that he's even playing in these games at this point shows you how thin the Yankees roster is. They had Trevino come in to pinch hit as their righty bat off the bench. And McKee and I were texting, and rightfully he goes, so that's their bench?
Yeah.
I went, yeah. That's how thin they are.
Tommy Edman, would you put him ahead of Judge? Lefty on the mound. Tommy Edman or Aaron Judge?
Yeah, I got to go Tommy's. As someone who loves betting unders and has bet a few unders in the World Series and actually had to sweat out under 8.5 in that second game going, how did I get here? This is insane. Tommy Edman strikes the fear of God in me when he's at the dish. So, he's
playing
definitely
free
ahead.
and easy.
No, he's definitely ahead.
I was hitting cleanup in an elimination game.
Tommy Edman ahead of Aaron Judge, no question about it. Anyway, so I think that Yankees fans are going to turn on him if he's 0 for 4 tonight. If he's 0 for 4 tonight and he strikes out 3 times, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad in that game. I bet you he gets booed in that game after the last at bat if they lose.
I mean, if it's the last at bat, then it's
no. I'm saying his last at bat of the game. This is my prediction. If he is 0 for 4 or 0 for 3, getting to the dish, and the Yankees are trailing.
Losing. Well, because then the series is over, right?
Yes.
I know.
They're going to boo him.
Red Sox. Yeah,
they're going to boo a top 10 Yankee. And frankly, this is what I'm talking about. Legacy stakes. You can't put Aaron Judge in the top 10 Yankees if he hits under 200 in the World Series and costs. No, man.
And goes over with runners in scoring position.
I genuinely think that his spot will drop. Anyways, last thing quickly. I left Freddie Freeman off my legacy rankings, and he was the guy that you stumped the hardest for that should have been on it. But then when we kind of went through it, it was sort of hard to remove him from the list. Do you know what he is with bases loaded. And
Against lefties?
In his last 14 at-bats.
Okay, I saw the one against lefties. He has an
his
OPS
lefties.
over 2,000.
Yeah, he does. So I don't think Boone took enough crap for this, but whatever. Anyway.
Mookie Betts pretty good against lefties, too, if memory serves.
Yes, he is.
And there was a base open.
I think it's not just the fact that they faced Freddie Freeman. It's that they brought in Nestor Cortez, who a day ago was like, my arm might fall off, but I want to win. And they were like, you're in.
Yeah. But he's not on the roster unless you think that he can be the guy that he was during the regular season.
Here's the thing. What you really should have done is just pitch to Mookie Betts with Tim Hill. It was pretty clear.
Yeah.
It was pretty clear.
Yeah,
Tim Hill has been amazing for them, and they had that matchup, and it was right there for them, and instead they got cute, and they did that.
I mean, Nestor Cortez did get Shohei Ohtani.
Sure.
And then made a decent pitch to Freddie Freeman. It was right on the block.
He got Shohei Ohtani in that.
Alex Verdugo.
Verdugo had to go 2 rows up into the stands.
God, that is the most forgotten moment of that game that will be lost to the sands of time, because that was an unreal play. He removed the threat of Shohei Ohtani by putting his self-care on the line and sliding into the second row of seats in left field. And it did feel like... I don't know.
I just watched NFL football all Sunday. Like, there's every single snap is more dangerous than this guy going for baseball.
So you're going to diminish the Alex Verdugo?
Well, just life on the line. You sound like Jameis Winston, where he's talking about Deshaun Watson. But yeah, go on. Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be forgotten.
I'm just saying, you don't need to oversell it. He dove into the stands. It was an awesome play. Life on the line.
I didn't say that. I said his self-care.
Yeah,
he had no regard for his own life.
Anyway, I think it was a bozo decision by them. But no, the numbers for Freddie Freeman to pay that off with the bases loaded is 9 last 14 at bats. So the last 2 seasons, 9 of 14 with 4 home runs, 25 runners driven in for Freddie Freeman. He's just good. But yeah, that's just
What happens though when you have the top 3 hitters in your lineup that are all good and all not chokers is like there's nowhere to put anybody.
Because I watched a team that had genuine stretches where they went, Ernie Clement should bat up in the top of the lineup. He's red hot.